Hi everybody, and welcome back to the final video for the fundamentals section. And this video we're going to learn about a special kind of script called a module script. So before I get into talking about that, I've turned off all my other scripts in here. We'll create just a normal script in here for a start, and we're going to call this our main script. Alright, we'll get rid of our hello world. Now, earlier I talked about when we were doing functions that a function is a bit like a machine that you might have in your kitchen, like a toaster. So, like an appliance. Now, if you had a whole bunch of appliances on your bench, like a toaster and a pasta maker and bread maker, then you might run out of room on your bench to do anything. So you can think about a modular script a little bit like a cupboard, where you might keep all your appliances and use them when required. So we've got our main script sitting here. We've done nothing with it at the moment, but we'll come over to Server Script Service now and click on the plus, and we're going to click on Module Script. So if you don't see it, start typing Module Script until it appears in the list, and then click on Module Script. All right. Now we'll change the we'll just change the name down here just to mod script, and you'll see that we don't get the hello world that appears in the others. We get a local module with a table and a return module down the bottom here. So we'll just change the name just to be mod just for now. So we'll just change the name to be just mod. Alright, now you could change this to whatever you'd like in here, but we'll leave this one as mod. Now, if we put inside of this module a print, alright, so if we just say hello, and we were to run the game, you'll notice nothing happens. All right. Now, the reason for that is that module scripts won't do anything or run any code inside unless they are required by another script. So in our main script over here now, let's create a variable called mod. And as I said, we use a special word called require. Okay, so we're going to require the script, and then it needs where is that script, and it's in our game, and it's in server script service, which appears, and then a dot, and then our mod script. Alright, so now that it's been required by another script and we play, then we should see hello. Alright, so it's running the code that is inside of the module script once it's been required. Alright, so that's the first thing to understand. Now, if we come back to our module script, we'll get rid of our print. You'll remember we created a function earlier to add two numbers together. Well, we're going to do something similar here, just so you're familiar with this. Now, when you create a function inside a module, it's a little bit different in that we start off with the word function. So we're in the module, and we want to create a function inside the module. Then we follow the word function with the name of the module. So in this case, it's mod, and then put a dot, and then we put the name of the function. All right, and we will call this one calculate numbers. All right, and finish it off like this. So it should look like that. Now, over in our main script, once we've got this set up, let's drop down here and we'll create the two variables that we had earlier. So in this case, let's put in a number 1 will be 5, number 2 can be equal to 3. All right, and just below this, we're going to create a variable called operation. And we'll pass in either a string of, let's say we go with add for a start. Then we'll create a variable for an answer, and we're going to call that function, and it will return back to us the answer, all right, after it's run. Now, to access this function over here that we created, what we do is we start off by typing the mod at the top, and then put a dot, and you'll notice that it provides it for us now, and we can simply hit enter. Now, we'll add the brackets in at the end because we want to pass this information that we have here through to our function. So we'll use N1 and N2, and actually we need to pass in the variables, so number 1 and number 2 and the operation. So we're going to pass these 3 bits of information through to our function, and after it's done its job, we will print the answer down here. Alright, so now we need to take this information and put it into our function. So we'll take a copy of the parameters, and in our module script now we can paste them in here. Right, now you can change these if you like to be different to the other ones, but we'll just leave them as they are. Alright, now we've got this operation here, and if you look over here, remember this is a string variable. So we want to use some of the knowledge we've already learnt so far to determine what that means. Alright, so we'll use a conditional statement, and we'll say in here, if operation equals, and we'll put in a plus sign here, then we can put a comment, add the numbers, because we know that we want those to be added. And in this case, we're going to create a sentence to give back the answer. All right, so we can create another answer in here, all right, which will be equal to num1 plus num2, and that will give us the answer to the operation. But then what we want to do is return the statement. So we'll say return, and we're going to create a string that is put together by joining these things together. Now, because the first 2 are numbers, we need to turn them into strings. So to do that, we can say to string number 1, all right, and then we want to join another string to it. So to do that, we put 2 dots in a row and a set of inverted commas. We'll put a space and then the plus sign, because that's what we're doing, we're adding, and then dot dot to string, okay, number 2, another 2 dots, and we'll say equals dot dot to string the answer. So this big long line here will print out when it's sent back number 1 plus number 2 equals whatever the answer is. Okay, and it's returning this entire thing as a string, which will come back to here and print the answer. So let's see if that works. We can just click on run, and you'll see we get 5 plus 3 equals 8. Alright, so now let's give our function a little bit more variability. So let's now, instead of adding the numbers, let's put an X in here instead to multiply the numbers together. So over in our function, now we can take this entire line, or this whole section here, this conditional statement, and let's put it, we'll put it down below. And it's exactly the same, except now we're going to change the plus to be a multiply, and we can change our multiply the numbers, and in this case we want to multiply. Now multiply is the star, so shift 8, that's how we multiply 2 numbers together. And down here we can change this to be X, because that's how we would normally write it, and that's all we have to do. So now let's run it, and you'll see 5 times 3 equals 15. Okay, so besides that, you could, in our main script over here, instead of just having this answer, we could have down here, if we copied this below our existing thing here, instead of using this here, we could just put in what we want to do. So we might say plus here, and then down below, multiply. And we can just print those entire items out. So put all of that in here. And so now it will run and complete the first one, which was the answer, but then it'll run these as well and do the same thing. Alright, so this is a very simple example of how to use module scripts, and we'll be using them in a different way, a very similar way, but more complicated functions in the project that we're going to get started on next. So hopefully you get an understanding that we can put all of this in here, but it can be condensed into these lines that keep our code nice and clean and tidy. Alright, so I look forward to seeing you to begin the project in the next lesson. So I shall see you there.